The action, of course, is not only 10 kilometers north of Cape Town on that island, but is also taking place frankly around the country. For one, the Wesleyan Church in Waaihoek, that's in Bloemfontein, it's actually the birthplace of the South African Native National Congress, which was formed in 1912. In fact, later in 1923, that organization morphed into what we know today as the African National Congress. The ANC became the largest liberation organization in the struggle for freedom and justice in South Africa. The exclusion of Africans from meaningful political participation in the negotiations leading up to and in the envisaged Union of South Africa in 1910 galvanized different African political formations to forge a unified political movement that would challenge the exclusion of black people. Watching developments for us in Bloemfontein is Makgala Masiteng, who joins us now live. And Makgala, you've been crossing into Morning Live from early this morning as we take stock of the different aspects of the ANC's history, and what a rich history it is.
Indeed, Ayanda, actually, I just want to continue with one of the 12 disciples of Nelson Mandela as I was talking to him, one of the surviving members, of course, Dr. Pule Matjoa. Of course, they were politically baptized in a way here in Bloemfontein, in Sihunelo school. Then it was called Bantu School. And then after that, they were sent to exile. I just want to talk to him and go way back when they were sent to various countries in exile. What is it that was happening? What is it that you were doing when you were taken outside the country? Just to give us the picture of what happened then.
Yes, we were asked to travel to Tanzania, where we would meet the ANC leadership, which would then explain to us what the plans for us were. And some of us were sent to different universities abroad from Dar es Salaam. I was sent to Cuba with 3 other comrades. Actually, we were 5. We were 5 comrades who went to study in Cuba. And we studied different courses. When we came back, we returned to Dar es Salaam. And when we got to Dar es Salaam after studying in Cuba, we were deployed to the camps to do some work of the ANC. But whilst we were in Cuba, we had to train and get our military course. The ANC at that time was preparing other comrades to train in other countries elsewhere. So during our stay in Cuba, we studied during the year, and when the schools went on break, we went for refresher courses in the army. And because we had arrived there at the time of the October crisis, it was the country was about to be invaded by the United States if Russia did not prevent a world war at that time.
How were you at that time? I believe you were still young, but you showed a braveness, of course, even just standing up and saying that you want to be part of the people who go out to exile.
Yes, I don't believe we were showing braveness. I think we were actually ignorant of the dangers. And as young people, we didn't care really of what can happen to us. We just thought we want to see ourselves free because we were not happy with what we were seeing happening in our country, South Africa. We got this necessary support, we got the training, and we were ready for anything, and we were up after receiving our preliminary training, we were deployed in the Cuban Army during the period of the October crisis. Fidel did not send us to the front, but we were in the army doing some logistics work and so on and so forth to make us get used to the idea that war can be.
Oh, what a pity. It looks like we've lost our connection there to Makgala Masiteng in Bloemfontein. As we take stock of the rich history of the ANC's finding, we will without a doubt try to re-establish that connection for you. We've heard there for one of the founding members, if you like, of the ANC, speaking about how in many ways they were carried by the exuberance of youth when they made their way through different parts of the country trying to mobilize support in order to get the ANC up and running. Cuba, of course, seen as a major ally for South Africa, at least at that time. And in fact, in many ways, it's fed into how at least the ANC relates to that country, even in the face of their detractors today. So there's going to be a lot of that kind of sentiment that without a doubt is shared, and we'll bring that to you. But for now, let's take you back to Bloemfontein as Makgala Masiteng continues with that discussion. Makgala?
Thank you very much, Ayanda. Of course, we're still continuing with our conversation with Dr. Pule Matjoa. Just bear with me. He is 88 years old, 87 years old. Wow. So you're saying that when you were going to exile, it was not you showing braveness, but it was the ignorance. So now you are there. You see now the reality that a war might happen anytime, and you might be sent there, of course, to fight for the country. What's happening to you at that time, you and others who were sent there?
We thought it was a good idea that we were actually exposed to war conditions, but there was no war, but we knew that it could be started any minute whilst we were there. But that wasn't our main preoccupation, really. Our preoccupation was to get the necessary military training and go back to South Africa, and we thought it was going to be an important thing for us to engage the enemy, because in fact I should have started by mentioning that I'm excited about being invited to this occasion of the 8th of January, where the ANC is celebrating 113 years of existence, and that from that time onwards our people joined the ANC and got glued to the ANC because they understood very clearly what the ANC stood for and what the ANC wanted to achieve. That was the exciting part of it all.
So you talk to us that you coming back. When did you come back to the country, and what was happening at the time, and what were you expecting when you were coming back to the country at that time, after getting all the training that you received in exile?
Oh no, well, I didn't return to South Africa immediately when the time for when South Africa was had reached the period of a democratic process and South Africa being freed from the oppression of the apartheid rule. I was working in Lesotho. I worked in Lesotho for some years there, about 8 or 10 years. I only came back in 1994 to South Africa, coming home. Things had changed greatly by then, and the excitement about independence was still there. The only thing that really worries me is that the Western countries rely on spinning information. They never tell you the truth. They always tell you what they want things to be, mislead you all the time. And our people don't seem to realize that. They are being misled, and the ANC painted as an organization of thieves. There's nowhere where you will find a group of people without one or two or just a handful of them being naughty. It's normal. They can only complain maybe about what measures have been taken to stop that. It's not easy. Naughty people don't do naughty things once they are washed. They do these things in hiding, in secrecy, and they also don't seem to appreciate our history, where we come from, because most of the things that they do, to me, they seem to have been told to do. I don't think our people are that bad. They are not bad. Good people.
What do you think should be done to address the naughty people that you're talking about?
No, we need to intensify our political education so that they understand what is going on. Because most of the time, the things they do and say are not coming from them. They are coming from the enemy. You must remember that we still have the enemy around us, which is trying to create obstacles for us to make any progress. They realized in the last elections that the ANC was growing massively, and they had to find a way of interfering in that process by encouraging these naughty people to continue with the wrong things and paying them a pittance to do certain things that would obstruct the program of the ANC. Hence, the ANC has built branches, and the branches are the sections of the ANC which live among the people and interpret the resolutions, decisions of the ANC to them, and also pick up information from the people what needs to be done. And then they inform the national leadership works out things. But the thing that really annoys is the fact that we seem to see educated people spearheading the fake news. They are telling our people that the ANC is an organization of naughty people. It's an organization which doesn't care for their interests. It only cares for its own interests. It looks after itself and not the people they claim to be. And then who are labeled liars. The liars are the people who spread fake news. Those are the liars, and people don't want to talk about that. They instead, on some programs which I don't even want to listen to, you find that a person will all the time talk about what the weaknesses of the ANC are. They don't realize that we were beginning to make serious strides, which were shown by the last elections. These elections we lost not because we did not work hard enough. We lost them because the lies that were told by the enemy to our people, and they don't do them themselves. They send our own people to go and spread the lies. and tell them, no, don't vote ANC, ANC is useless, it's this and that. We cannot sit back and say, you will regret for having listened to these people. And they will regret, it's true. But at the same time, we are going to continue with our political education, make them aware of what is going on.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Pule Matjoa. They're going into details. Of course, we went back to look at what they did then in the 1960s when they were sent into exile, but also dipping into the current status of the ANC. It's interesting how I like how he uses the term, the naughty people, that they are the ones that are spreading the negative news, or rather the fake news, as he terms it when he looks at this, but also emphasizing on the importance rather of the political education within the ANC to equip the party as it moves forward. Of course, Ayanda, that is Dr. Pule Matjoa, one of the 12 disciples of Nelson Mandela, the young activists that were brave enough to say they are ready to go and go into exile to be trained, of course, as the liberation movement was growing and also grooming young stars to come, of course, to fight for the freedom of people of South Africa then.
Absolutely. Makgala Masiteng, thanks very much indeed for bringing us that recollection. She, of course, is live to us there from Bloemfontein, seen in many instances as the birthplace of the ANC.